Hey guys, and welcome to Overpass for Noobs. Now, Overpass is the newest Valve-made addition to the franchise and the competitive scene, and while it has had sort of a rough start, it's really become a fun map to play and to watch. And in this video, we will cover callout locations, common camping spots, and basic strategies for both sides. So starting off here in T-spawn, and please bear with me because some of this map on the B site and the A site is a little bit confusing. And a lot of the spots have 2 or 3 different names depending on your region. I'll try to go over all of them, but just bear with me here. Again, it might get confusing because of the different names for different things. But starting off, this is T-steps. It goes into upper tunnels here. If we take a left, that'll lead towards A. Right will be towards B. And this is ladder that leads into lower tunnels / connector. Be careful with this damn valve because you get stuck on it a lot. Anyways. Then again, coming up here, take a left. This goes into playground. A fun little slide, and some fun little swings. And right here is fountain. If we take a left, this heads into party. There's a lot more balloons, but I kind of popped them already. I'm sorry for ruining the fun. If we jump down into here, this is known as either Shore A or Lower Park. And down these stairs here, this is, again, connector, and then lower tunnels. Right here is known as Squeaky, it leads to B. Coming back up the stairs, this area right here is known as restrooms or bathrooms, toilets, again, depends on your region. And then this area right over here is park connectors, because it connects both lower park and upper park. This is also known as long A. This is just known as tree or rock, and then picnic. And right over here, towards the end of long A, is cafe. Pretty common spot for CTs to sit. And then right here, there used to be a bench here, but some people might still call this bench. So keep that in mind. As we come into sight, this is known as mid boxes, green stack, default or safe. So keep that in mind, there's 3 different names. This is just truck, back of A. Some people call this back of A as well, but usually it's just called stairs. Of course, stairs. Dumpster, van, and bank. If you come down to bank stairs here, some people call this storage. So if you hear storage, that's what they're talking about. And then this goes down into heaven, or sniper's nest, right here. This is just known as underpass, or a connector, sometimes people call it. Right here is known as either jungle or graffiti. Some people call it graffiti, usually it's just jungle though. And then right down here is pit. And then site itself, this is just default or safe. And then sometimes people plant it by pillar because of the giant pillar. Then down here is known as canal. Some people do in fact call this pit right here, and they call this water. So if they say pit, you know, just kind of check both. It would be kind of a safe bet. But this is canal or pit, and then that's water or pit. I know, it's very confusing. If we come into this little canal here, this is mouth or mouth pipe. And then here is this is pipe, and that leads to construction. If we take it right up here, this is sandbags. And this whole area right here is usually called either catwalk or bridge. And as we come out over here, back towards T-spawn, this is just known as alley. Some people call it tracks. Usually this is called tracks though, just because it's right by the tracks. And that is about it. And I should note that A site is also CT spawn, so just keep that in mind if you're not familiar with the map. And now we'll go into common camping spots. So starting right off, it's a pretty common spot to save weapons. Same as this area right here. As we fly on over, sometimes people sit here to save weapons. or in this corner to watch rotates. Even right here. A CT likes to play right here sometimes. You're pretty hard to see if you play the angle right. Right behind this wall as well. Anywhere around this pillar. Both feel close spots right here. Anywhere in this pit, really. And a terrorist often is camping right here, watching for rotates, keeping an eye on heaven. Of course, jungle again. This is a pretty common boost spot for CTs. Gotta be careful of this cheeky little spot. Right here, as a terrorist holding the site. Behind sandbags. This little corner. Careful of the CT sitting here. It can actually get boosted on top of here and see into connector. Or you can throw nades through there. This area right here. Way down over in here. Behind this wall, or behind this wall. You actually kind of gotta be careful because you can kind of jump off of this ladder. Let's see if I can do it. Whoa, my mouse freaked out. Onto this ledge right here. So be careful of that. It's not that common, I don't see it that often, but just keep it in mind, I suppose. Of course, at the top of the ladder or anywhere in this connector. Sometimes a CT will sit right here, if they can get here fast enough, or smoke it off fast enough. Usually, terrorists and CTs will meet each other right about in this area here. So you'll often see this smoked off by a CT. So as we move on, anywhere behind this board, or anywhere right in this area, or over here, behind this box. I guess you can call it box, this wooden thing. This is a pretty common spot for a CT to sit. They'll, again, smoke right here, and they'll jump up here. So be careful of that. That was bad smoke, but anyways. Anywhere in here. Over in here. In bathrooms, gotta be careful of pretty much everywhere in bathrooms. This is a spot right here. In this corner. Sometimes a T will sit right in this spot to watch the bomb, listen for the bomb. And behind both of these little things right here. And if you can get a teammate to boost, you can actually break through this window and kind of peek over these things on the bench. Dangerous move, but hey, it is doable. If we go over into long, again, behind this tree or these rocks, sometimes a terrorist will sit right here, watching long, and then they'll hear a CT, excuse me, come through connector or bathrooms. And again, as I said before, by the cafe. Then on A site / CT spawn, this is a pretty strong spot. We can watch both of these areas, but it's a high risk, high reward spot, so keep that in mind. And then of course the truck, the very, very common spot. Sometimes back a site, but you're pretty much screwed if you can't get any picks. Oh, I missed the jump. Sometimes a CT will sit right here, or a terrorist will sit right here. And then they can rotate anywhere into this connector here, into underpass. And bank's another very common spot to hold. And then, of course, sniper's nest. Sometimes they'll be on the catwalk right here because you can jump and see over into squeaky, so they can see if it's open or not. Or they can jump scout. But that is about it for the common camping spots. Very brief, I know, but again, they did a pretty good job at cleaning up all the kind of annoying angles. But we'll jump into some basic strategies for both sides. So starting off on the T side here on B site, a pretty common thing to do for terrorists is to just kind of flash over. That's a pretty bad flash, I can't see a damn thing. Is to just kind of flash over this little board right here. Like 3 or 4 people doing that, and then just rush in, check your angles, and get the picks if you can, because they pop right about there. And it's a good idea to have someone come from construction / water over here, and to throw some over as well. So usually we'll do like a 3-2 split, and then just storm site and do it very quickly. It's very, very effective, especially on eco rounds when you have like Tech 9s and stuff like that. So that's one thing that is a pretty common, easy strategy to do, especially easy for matchmaking. Or if you have a team that is pretty decently well coordinated, or if you're playing on a team, this is something that I used to do with my old Civo team when we were still together. And it's a wall of smoke for the site, and where there really isn't any smoke, there's pretty much just Molotovs. And so the first smoke, if you stand against this little thing right here, aim at this V right there at the bottom of it, jump throw. It will land right about here, and that covers anybody playing this pretty common spot right about here. And then we'll wait a little bit to throw that, of course, while we all sort of set up our other smokes. And then we'll have someone stand right about here and throw a smoke for heaven. Let's see if I can remember how to do that. There we go, that's pretty much perfect. It lands right about there. Oh, and finally the last smoke. If you come right about here, and then aim underneath this black ball thing, and throw it against there, it'll land on the catwalk and block that off. So of course, you have a smoke here, have a smoke here, and have a smoke in heaven. It makes it very hard for them to do really much unless they have a player playing around the pillar here. You know? But usually we'll have that, and then we'll push through here and then through here sometimes. And for the Molotovs, this one's a little bit tricky to do. Let's see if I remember how to do it. Let me stand right about here and aim right about inside of here, and do right and left click at the same time, and then do a running throw. And that lands right about there. That was pretty good. So if anybody is playing right here, they'll be burnt alive. In addition to that, we also had someone throw a Molotov if you line up this post, which is I think the 5th post. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, the 5th post with this gray part of the wall right. Yeah, right about here. I don't know what this is, a shack. And then aim right in the middle of this triangle at the top edge and throw it like that. That'll flame off barrels. So we've got both there and this ramp smoke, or excuse me, mollied. So there's really not much anybody can do from these two locations. So you just have to worry about this area right here and anybody that's playing inside of the water itself. I mean, obviously, if you don't see anybody playing over here or over there, either they're smoked off playing back there, smoked off in heaven, or they're playing inside of the pit. So you just kind of gotta be careful of that. And you can pretty easily get a plant off, and something that you can do while they're kind of confused and panicking is jump up here and check into there, because again, this is going to be smoked off, as well as this, and then these two locations are going to be mollied. Again, this is if you're coordinated enough to do it. But those two locations are going to be mollied, so you really only have to worry about those guys in pit after you clear the site, and you can kind of peek in like this, trying to get information. Of course, someone could be playing back in here too, so that's a pretty useful and easy to do strategy if you can get some coordination and some people who know those nades. But that was a pretty effective, almost I'd say 70-80% success rate when we did play Overpass on our team. So heading on over to the A site, and again, just like in the B site, you can kind of just take it quick, check your angles, and then throw some flashes over. I like to do a 3-2 split. And again, you have these people checking this angle, and they can flash over like that, while you're flashing over the other way. 3 flashes, you know, 3 players. You throw them in sequence, because you can turn away from a flash, but, you know, you'll see that one flash, you'll turn away, hear it pop, and then you'll turn back, and as you're turning back, you know, you'll get blinded by the second flash. And of course, you have these people, again, coming in, throwing over like this. Be careful not to flash yourselves. And then just do a fast take, check your angles, get your picks. Or you can do something a little bit more slow. Have people pushing along so that they can check these angles for you. And then you'll come into this corner, or you can come into this corner. And if you aim right about here, in between these 2 branches, this one and this one, there's like a 3rd branch that connects them. And in between these 2 leaves, just pull back and throw. And that's going to smoke off these stairs. And then the corner of this thing, the pillar, or whatever you want to call it, just right across from the stairs of these 2 bathrooms. Just aim at the top of the needle, a little bit to the right, and throw it. No need to jump or anything like that, and they'll land a covered bank. And then you can both, the long players and the short players, take the site. You know, these guys will check these angles, and you'll be checking like these angles over here in case someone got ballsy and pushed the dumpster or something. But those are just a couple basic strategies for both sites. Nothing too fancy. I mean, I know the B site, one with the smokes, is a little bit more coordinated. Probably not going to be able to do it in matchmaking, but hey, it's pretty useful. And now for the CT side of things. Now, Overpass is sort of a weird map to hold as CT, just because of, like, one, the timings, and two, more so than a few of the other maps, you have to really gauge how your opponent is playing. But let's say you're doing a 3-player setup for A. Oftentimes, you'll have one player playing in bathrooms here to watch party, and to be on a quick rotate all the way back to A to help out anybody playing long. And they can come through connector there. And then a second player playing either right down in here, or, more popularly, playing inside of connector, so they can watch anybody pushing from lower tunnels into connector itself, and up to A. Or do a fast rotate to B and get them in the back. But oftentimes, or usually, the player that's going to be playing connector will throw a little smoke grenade down here, then run down, and throw a pop flash there. Not a pop flash at all, but throw a flash like that, and then peek like this. A better one would be to kind of just go, and then peek and try and spray down like that. Or they can just play sort of in this corner right here, like so. So you have those two players there, and then finally a third player playing long, either playing it with an op way back here, or even a rifle just to hold, get information. Or if they want to feel ballsy and play aggressively, throw a smoke kind of like this, and then play that tree. You actually gotta be careful of that little sign right there, because it will kind of bounce off of it. That's actually a pretty bad smoke, but the idea is to smoke right there. You know? And then they'll play from tree, and that's the aggressive style with 3 players. If you only have 2 players, it's a little bit more difficult to play A site. But the safest bet is to have one player sort of playing in bank, watching this angle, and anybody pushing along, and then one player playing either on stairs here to watch, again, the push from bathrooms, or long, or you're even playing back in truck. If you want to be a little bit more ballsy, you can have one player playing here and then another player playing, again, anywhere in sight, sometimes even right here. They can get the players pushing long, peek bathrooms. And I really hate playing A site as 2 players just because it's so hard to smoke off. You really have to have 2 smokes to hold off a push from bathrooms. And then you're only 2 people, so you can't really smoke off long here. You know, if you have 3 people, you can smoke it off like that, but it's just really difficult to smoke it off from anybody pushing short. But that's how I would play it with 2 players, just play it sort of passively, hold angles. If you get in trouble, you can kind of fall back into anywhere in this area here, rotate your position while your teammates come up to help you. And now moving on into B. If we're playing a 3-player setup for B, if they're hitting B a lot, and you have 3 players, oftentimes we'll have a player playing up in heaven here with an op. And if I'm playing in heaven with an op, I like to stand on this rail, because you're a little bit more covered, just because of this wall and the pillar. And you can watch sandbags and anybody crossing into sight and pick them with the op. And then we will have someone playing either up in this area here, just again because you're covered from anybody pushing mouth, and you can kind of pop heads like that, or playing passively back here to be on a quick rotate back up. And then the third player will play either barrels, so they can watch sandbags and mouth at the same time, or they'll play aggressively and hold this angle. Now if we're playing 2 players, or even 3 players, it doesn't even matter. As soon as I get onto site, I kind of wait, listen a little bit, and then after 3 or 4 seconds pass, I'll throw a smoke like that. And you really gotta be careful how you throw your smokes, because defense can be kind of glitchy. I don't know if they fixed it or not, but sometimes they'll get stuck inside of it, or it'll hit like a weird angle, kind of like that, and kind of nullify your smoke. So I'll throw a smoke like that, and my teammate will oftentimes come over this way, throw a smoke like that off that wall, so that lands not right there.
Laying down smoke.
Let's try that again. Well, You get the picture. They'll smoke off tunnels here.
Smoke.
Let's say I threw it properly and not like an idiot. And then throw a smoke like that, and it makes it a little bit easier to hold. And if we don't actually have 2 smokes and we smoke off one or the other, you know, we can throw a molly or incendiary like that. Or once the smoke fades, just have them kind of throw it down like that. Then they can hold like that. It'll just slow down the push because, again, the B site is so fast for the T's to take. And if both of those are smoked off, something kind of cheeky you can do is jump up here and get some information to kind of see if that squeaky door is open. And if it is, just throw a Molotov like that, or incendiary, whatever you want to call it. Or if you really want to be aggressive, you can throw a flashbang like so, or even like this, and then peek. They're not like pop flashes. Maybe this one might be if they're slow, but you can also kind of boost over here. Let's see if I can't simulate it. Right about there, a little bit lower. You can get information. If you see somebody there, have them pull out and then just wall bang. Like that. And you can also kind of just throw a flashbang like that. Not like that. Again, I hate the angles on this map. Sort of like this. It'll bounce into there, and then you can peek, try and get a pick, and then fall back into pit here. Or in barrels, try and get a pick. And that's how you kind of play it a little bit aggressively as a CT. I mean, again, come on, give me my M4. Just kind of flash in. Not like that, but, you know, peek. Clear your angles. And then if you're able to, you can kind of sit in this corner right here as a CT. If you know they're probably not going to be coming from connector, because you should probably have one player playing connector if you do have a 3-2 setup. And you can either listen or just wait for them to kind of come around this corner and then spray them down. But that's about it for this video. Hopefully some of this stuff helped you guys, helped you get a little bit more familiar with the map. And as always, thank you all very much for watching, and see you next time.